Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's session. My name is Dmitry Risev. I'm a solution architect with Dataiku, and today we'll be talking about engineering trustworthy AI agents with Dataiku's LLM Mesh and Mosaic AI. So first, we can discuss the promise of agents. As you all know by now, there is a lot of talk about AI agents in the market today, all the way from custom-build agents using frameworks like LangChain and Llama Index, all the way through to pre-built, off-the-shelf agents that vendors promise can do everything for you autonomously. And there are a lot of opportunities for value in the enterprise for agents. The most common use cases that we're seeing today are around, of course, process automation, being able to do tasks that otherwise were quite laborious and time-intensive. So very mundane things like maybe contract clause validation in law or doing support ticket management. Another very common category of use cases is around worker augmentation. You're all familiar with the stories around AI agents being useful for coding assistance, but we think that this sort of concept actually applies. Is my audio working properly? Good, okay. So this type of concept applies across not just coding, but across different domains. And we believe that we'll see more of this as well across different types of departments, from sales management assistants, maintenance schedulers, adding to the productivity and effectiveness of different workers. And we're also seeing now agents being able to intelligently predict and apply business chains to ultimately drive more profitability and more revenue for organizations, almost as like an intelligent reasoner across different business segments, especially with more complex multi-chain scenarios for use cases like demand-driven replenishment orchestration, production process optimization, and more. So there is a lot of promise with agents in the enterprise, but with that comes a lot of complexity, and complexity causes a lot of issues. So there are different frameworks, as we know now, for building agents, and not one that we can necessarily standardize off of. Different vector databases, should we deploy on-prem, should we buy off the shelf? What about the cost of these use cases? Is it worth the value? So there are a lot of considerations when it comes to being able to leverage agents in the enterprise, even with the value that is or maybe ascertained. Some of the most common challenges that we're seeing today: number one, fragile connections to the underlying systems that power these agents. Being able to connect to enterprise data, enterprise systems from the ground up, having that connection has been a challenge from different implementations that we've seen. Along with that, it's very difficult, and sometimes these agents are quite opaque. So being able to quickly and easily diagnose any issues or failures that have come up is key. And then, of course, making sure that people that run these agents, someone is held accountable in the case where things do go wrong. That is absolutely crucial with these types of capabilities. So the way that we can solve for this in Dataiku is to be able to apply the enterprise orchestration that we've already had from the ground up in our platform to allow these agents to be connected to the approved data and models within your existing systems. Along with that, allowing for continuous optimization of these agents such that they're closely monitored and configured over time to ensure their performance maintains. Not dissimilar from the concept actually of MLOps sort of paradigm, but now attributed more so to agents and LLMs. And then the governance of these models is absolutely crucial as well. So being able to understand who created them, who signed off on these agents, under what circumstances it is considered to be a candidate for production, and who needs to be involved in that process. That's something that we consider absolutely crucial as well. So taking a step back, some of you may or may not know about Dataiku. We are an enterprise platform, a universal AI platform that connects the technology teams and the business together to be able to create different data projects and products. Not just agents, in fact, but across the entire lifecycle, from data analytics, building predictive models, traditional ML models, and now through to agents as well, built with centralized governance from the ground up, agnostic from a deployment and a technology perspective, and of course a very tight integration with Databricks, as we'll get into. Honing in on the agentic story behind Dataiku, we already have the capabilities to solve for what I described earlier. We have enterprise orchestration and have had from the ground up since the inception of our platform. We also have the capabilities to do continuous optimization and to provide a central, basically pane of governance around these different agents. And what's more is we provide an interface for both knowledge workers and the technical developers to be able to build and maintain these models over time, such that it's not limited to the most technical, let's say Python developers in the company, but can be democratized across the different users of the organization. And of course, being able to connect these agents to the approved data and AI architecture and infrastructure within your environments. So Dataiku provides visual and code-based interfaces, depending on your proclivity, to be able to develop these sorts of agents. And what's more is we provide out-of-the-box built-in tools that you can use to empower your agents to be able to accomplish different tasks. So if you wanted to be able to query a data set, or if you wanted to be able to write a JIRA ticket, that's something that you can provide for your agent, and you can do it through Dataiku without writing a single line of code. We also allow for enterprise orchestration. Whether you're using a single agent or multi-agent approach, we have a backbone that's called the LLM mesh, which allows for centralized access to different LLM providers and models, along with the governance that is associated and the filtering that's associated with the connection to these systems. Along with that, the ability to provide guardrails to enforce specific safety frameworks around your LLM connections, either at the use case or at the overall enterprise level. And an out-of-the-box entry point called Agent Connect to allow your end users to interact with these agents, again, with those guardrails and permissions in place, but in a very easy, lightweight way, in a way that makes them feel comfortable in working with these agents. Around continuous optimization, we provide out-of-the-box capabilities to monitor the cost of your agents and of your LLMs, such that you're able to understand historically how much they have cost per project, per user. We also allow out-of-the-box capabilities to monitor the quality and the performance, quantitative aspects of the performance of your agents over time, so you can see if the performance is going up or down. And then a traces explorer, so there's no black box around how an agent comes to a particular result. You'll be able to see and dig into exactly how an agent came to a specific response or conclusion. And then from a governance perspective as well, a centralized registry for your organization, cataloging all of your various Gen AI and agentic related use cases. So you'll be able to view all of them and the performance metrics associated with them on one pane of glass, along with a workflow that allows for sign-offs of your agents. So you're able to have a specified workflow to determine what steps need to occur and who has to sign off prior to an agent use case being deployed into production. And if it doesn't get signed off, then it cannot physically get moved into production. And then the ability to provide a value and risk monitoring dashboard to qualify use cases by their value versus their perceived risk and or cost. And with the power of Databricks Mosaic AI for the inference and for the inference of these models that they host, Dataiku can connect directly to these models in Databricks Mosaic AI and leverage them as a part of the agentic chain for these use cases. But again, no coding is required, and you can easily swap out models depending on the needs of the use case and their performance over time. Dataiku throughout our entire platform can easily connect with Databricks resources, including their LLMs, and specifically for the LLMs, we can connect to them to do one-off batch processes of use cases, but also, of course, being able to run agentic behavior through them. Let's take a look, shall we? So, taking a step back, we see a flow here in Dataiku. This is a project that we have, and consider a financial institution that has a data set or has data sets that has customers, and maybe we're trying to understand whether or not we should approve them for loans that we'll be granting. So in this project, all of the data sets that you see in blue are actually Databricks data sets. So we're directly connected into the data lake and into Unity catalog. In this case, we have done some data preparation steps. We've built a predictive model to be able to predict whether or not a customer is likely to default on a loan. We've also built an agent that has access to that predictive model along with some underlying data sets that's powered by a Genie space and has access to some corporate policy documents that will shortly show you how you can use a RAG process around. And we're also doing continuous monitoring of this agentic use case all throughout this project and all without writing a single line of code. It's all fully visually built. To give you a sense of how easy this really is, if I've connected to this corpus of documents that you see here, this is a set of documentation that this company has that's related to its credit scoring policy documentation, its loan scoring policy documentation. This may be living in SharePoint or in Databricks volumes. Again, we're agnostic from this perspective, so we can connect to any of these systems, whether they're structured or unstructured data. Then from there, we go through a visual retrieval augmented generation process where for the cases where the file is more of an image in nature, it actually goes through and does a visual embedding process to generate the vectors. Or if it's a more text-based file in that folder or in that repository, then it's going to go ahead and just generate the vectors right away. But again, no coding that's required. It's all happening behind the scenes. And what we're left with is this vector store here that we're then going to attach to the agent such that it has it as a tool to be able to answer questions based on this corpus of documentation. This is a visual agent in Dataiku. You can build agents visually or with code, and you can first specify the overlaying sort of reasoner model that's going to determine which tools it's going to utilize based on the user's query. And as you can see, we can connect to a wide variety of Databricks Mosaic AI models along with other providers and the latest ones from Mosaic as well. Along with that, you specify what the instructions for the agent should be. It should act, in this case, as an expert on our policies, maybe some instructions on what tools it has access to, and further down, I'm giving the definition of which tools it has access to and a brief description. So in this case, it has access to a text-to-SQL tool. Maybe it has access to that predictive model that we developed earlier. It has access to this vector store that we call a knowledge bank, and more. In terms of actually creating these tools, it's very straightforward because we provide built-in capabilities for you to be able to augment your agents with any tools, again, without writing any code. These all come out of the box. If you're looking to do a data set lookup, maybe send an email, work with Jira, work with Genie Space, all of these are available out of the box, no coding required to set them up. Just simply make the selections and off you go. Along with that, from a guardrails perspective, if you want to be able to determine that this agent has filtering capabilities for toxicity detection, you can apply that here. You can specify that this agent should be able to filter out toxic content. If you want to filter for some specific forbidden terms, some specific words that you don't want to have as responses by the LLM, maybe it's customer facing and you want to make sure certain key terms are limited. If you want to filter for things like PII, sensitive data, or other filters that you can custom build, these are all available to you as well, either at the agent level or also at the connection level to the models as well. Now, once you have created your agent, you can spin up a web application called Agent Connect that looks like this. Very easy to do. You can just simply specify the top level LLM that's going to be responding for your users. You can also specify the agents that this interface has access to. You can see we provided access to a few different agents that you see here. And then from there, when we ask a question of this Agent Connect, we ask it, hey, can you tell me about our loan approval policies? If you recall, in the corpus of documentation that we showed you earlier, there was some documentation specifically around loan approvals. So what the agent is doing is it's going through its list of tools that it has access to. It's figuring out which tool will provide the correct information based on the user's intent. It's sending that back to the top level LLM, and that LLM is responding so you can see the specific information that's given here, along with the sources, so you can actually understand how the LLM came to its conclusion, which tool it used, etc. If I wanted to ask a follow-up to say, can you tell me everything about customer, this guy here? Now it's using a different tool. It's actually leveraging the Genie API through a Genie tool to be able to run a quick text to SQL query, get the information about this customer, but it's going to present that information back to the user in natural language. So again, no coding that's required to set this up, very easy to do, and the agent is going to go ahead and provide that information for me along with the history of that customer. Now, there we go. So it's provided me with information about that customer that you see here, and that all looks interesting, but I want to figure out, okay, based on our policies, are we likely to approve a loan here? So I'm going to ask it, can you predict if this customer is likely to be approved for a loan? And now it's going to go ahead and actually query the predictive model that we had created as a part of this Dataiku flow. So again, the connection between the analytics, the predictive modeling, and the agent all in one project is very powerful. And as you can see here, based on the agent's behavior and the tools that are called, it was able to ascertain that the customer is not likely to default on this loan, which is good news. It means we can give this loan to this customer. But let's talk a little bit about how this agent came to its conclusion. What's going on behind the scenes? Well, in Dataiku, we have an out-of-the-box explorer that allows us to figure out exactly what's going on at each step in its process. So for that last query that we had, is that loan likely to be approved or not, we can actually go ahead and look through here and understand exactly how it came to its conclusion, which tool that it called, which query that it sent to the LLM, etc. If you don't like this view, we have a few other different types of views that you see here that will allow us to understand exactly what it's sent over. It will also show you the number of tokens that were sent and received, and actually the estimated cost. We'll come back to cost a little bit more in a moment. But now you're able to actually understand for each of these queries, how much is it costing us in the back end on a per token basis. Let's talk a little bit about evaluation. So of course, it's great that we have a response from the agent, but how do we know it's correct? Well, one aspect is qualitative, right? It's kind of the vibe of it. Is it doing good or not? But it's better to have a quantitative approach as well. So in Dataiku, what you can do is you can set up, say, a list of questions here. We have our questions and we have our labeled answers, and you can run it through this agent, which is exactly what we've done here. We have the agent, it's connected to those questions. We're asking the agent to respond one by one to each of those questions, and then we're using an LLM as a judge to basically create the calculations for these specific metrics. Is the answer correct based on the labeled data set that we had? Is it relevant? If it's using a RAG approach, we can also calculate things like the context, precision, and recall. Did we do a good job from a retrieval perspective of finding the right documentation or using the right tools? So you can configure the exact metrics that you'd like to compute, and once you've done that, then you get this view, we call it an eval store, that allows you to track the performance of your model over time. So as you get more labeled data, as you get more responses, maybe you try different iterations of your agent with different tools and different LLMs over top, then you get these performance metrics that you can dig into, and you can understand at a question by question level, what was the question, what was the output of the LLM versus the reference answer, and how did the LLM judge actually come to its conclusion around some of these calculations that you see here. So we can actually go quite granular and understand exactly how the performance of the agent is shifting over time. But apart from performance, there's also the cost considerations. And in Dataiku, we allow for you to have an oversight into the historical calculations or the performance of these models in terms of their cost. So you can filter this, of course, by project, by user, by the connection type. So if I want to filter for only one particular project, I can see how much it's cost us over time. I can see which users are mainly using this project or these LLMs. And if I wanted to have a more proactive approach to being able to monitor these models, then I can certainly create a proactive blocking quota where I specify if the cost for all of the queries to, let's say, Mosaic AI reaches some threshold that we specify, like $100, alert me of this, first of all, send me an email, and also maybe block any further queries from going. to stop it before it may be considered too late. Last but not least, I do want to also call out the fact that Dataiku has a governance capability built over top of the platform, such that you're able to see all of your Gen AI and agentic use cases in one view or one pane of glass. So you'll actually be able to view all of your agents with their corresponding performance metrics and build a approval workflow process around these agentic use cases as well. So you can define what exactly needs to happen and be documented prior to this agent being pushed to production. Maybe it's a performance metric that needs to be met. Maybe we need to get sign-off from these specific parties, IT, operations, risk and compliance, maybe from a regulatory or a compliance perspective. We need to get sign-off from these individuals prior to this agent being able to be pushed into production to be used by our business teams. You can define that consideration here, and then you can apply it across your entire organization such that any agentic use case has to go through these steps prior to being moved into production. To very quickly summarize, 3 key points. Number 1, trustworthy agents, as we refer to them, are not just hype, there are value to them, and there is a practical engineered approach to building them. And what's more is those capabilities exist today out of the box within Dataiku. The second aspect is that humans remain crucial in this process. That's why the governance workflow is so crucial here. Autonomous agents with no oversight can oftentimes lead to disaster, especially when there's no one that's accountable. And number 3, Dataiku and Databricks is an absolutely powerful combination for building and governing these types of use cases. The inherent power of the scale and compute and the models of Databricks, plus the interface and the collaboration and the governance of Dataiku. Thank you so much. We are at booth F628, just near theaters, I believe it's 1 and 3. Near Theater 3. If you would like to find out more information, we'd be more than happy to meet you there. Thank you so much for your time.